For everything Texans with Luis Ortiz, Zach Tawatari, it's Landry Locker from The Locker Room, Cody Stoots from HOUfootball.com, and together it's SNL Texans Talk on YouTube. I got all of that correct, right?
You did. You got it.
Nailed it.
All right, nailed it. You guys were both in West Virginia following the Texans leading up to this first preseason game on Saturday. What were your big takeaways from what you saw there?
Man, I loved what I saw from the rushing attack. You started to see signs of life. Those first couple days, the defense was ready, okay? But then you started to kind of see a little bit of daylight. The offensive line was moving some guys. You had some good performances. And Woody Marks, slow start to camp, been stacking days. They talk about it all the time. Stack days, stack days. Woody Marks has been stacking days. That was one of my biggest things.
Ooh. I loved what I saw from guys who really didn't even practice. They went through a walkthrough and we saw them moving around. I think there is a vision now that Dameon Pierce and Christian Harris can make big impacts for this team. The way they're moving, Christian Harris, you're not relying on him. You plug him into this defense. He was arguably your best defensive player at the end of 2 seasons ago. I think it's crazy to look and see that this guy could be thrown into the mix, but he could very well be. Dameon Pierce, he feels so good about himself, he's walking around shirtless. He hasn't been walking around shirtless the last 3 years. I'm sure when we talk to him, he'll tell you all about it, but he also looks quicker, he looks faster, and you watch this system, it seems like Dameon Pierce, Christian Harris, 2 guys in their final year of their rookie deals, looking to get paid, hungry, up and down. I think these guys, when you talk about the impact, we'll talk about guys who might make the team. These guys can have legit impact, and it was good to see them on the side working out. We'll see what happens this week.
Good scouting reports from both of you. As you can see, we have markers, we have whiteboards, and we have a lot going on inside these heads. After the first preseason game, when we're using the whiteboards here, which player do you feel now is breathing a little easier? Which player do you feel is breathing a little easier? It doesn't matter which side. Which player is breathing a little easier? Who's going first? Who's going first? Who's got it?
All right, I finished my test first, so I go first, I guess. I'm going center Jake Andrews. It's been a competition with him and Jared Patterson basically from the beginning, but I loved what I saw in the preseason game. Patterson had some good moments pass blocking last year, but the run blocking leaves a little bit to be desired. Jake Andrews can do it both. He did both well in the preseason game. He's done it well in practice. This feels like the starting center for the Houston Texans to me.
How about you, Zach?
It's Braxton Berrios for me, and I feel like that's probably going to be a popular choice amongst us. He's been really one of the standouts at camp so far, coming back from that ACL injury. He looks really good, looks really explosive, and I think scoring that touchdown certainly helps his cause.
Luis?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Dare Ogunbowale just because you talk about in that running back room right now, obviously with Joe Mixon being out, unsure when he's going to come back. Nick Chubb right now also out, even though DeMeco Ryans did say, look, don't worry, he'll be back when he's back. It'll be soon. But I think he got some good reps in this first preseason game. He looked good, had some few plays. I think, he can say, okay, you know what? Also, you mentioned Dameon Pierce, but we don't know what he's going to provide or what role he'll have. So I think Dare Ogunbowale right now can breathe a little bit easier.
I'm going to go Berrios as well. It always helps when you score a touchdown, but boy, he just looked, in these Patriot offenses, they like to have little guys running around. And
he looks the part.
He looks the part, but he also scored, and that always helps your case, so I'm going Berrios.
Yeah, and I stood on the fence, but I stand with each of y'all, the regulars. I think Dario and Braxton Berrios did well for themselves. The Berrios thing's interesting because last year they kept 7 receivers. The 7th was Steven Sims, and it was just because he was a return guy. Are they going to do that again? At this point, Xavier Hutchinson, I think he should be feeling good about himself, but I think he probably felt good about himself going into West Virginia. So you have 5 wide receivers set. If they're going to keep 6, I wonder if Watson and Berrios could kind of be competing, and then you have the fullback angle and everything like that. But he did very well. He did very, very well for himself, and I think he at least made it very interesting. And I start to look at Justin Watson and just say, okay, are we 100% certain that, that he's on the squad?
Okay. You brought up offensive line. How did the offensive line look to you guys in this first preseason game?
I liked what I saw from that first team offensive line they had out there. They didn't really challenge Ursery a lot, just a couple of run plays, and the one pass play they got close, he just kind of ferried the guy away from the quarterback. Drew Scruggs had some nice moments in there, moving guys around, was going and finding action, which is something he didn't do last year very well. So I liked a lot from that first team offensive line. Not so much from everything else. Blake Fisher, not good.
How are you feeling about the offensive line?
I feel okay about the offensive line, and I think they're having like kind of a luxury where they're going through tests now that are probably hard to practice unless something happens. In other words, we're seeing what they'll do if Cam Robinson goes out, and it's not a serious injury. It doesn't appear to be. He was back moving around. We're seeing how they're going to handle C.J. Gardner-Johnson's injury, and it's not a serious injury. So I know coaches can say we're trying to work on depth, but it feels like they've almost got the luxury of being able to practice their depth without doing it. So I think you got to feel good about the offensive line relative to what we thought. I'm not going to sit here and say this is like a top half NFL offensive line, but relative to what we thought, I think you should feel good about the changes.
And I think it was a good first step because it could have gotten real ugly based on what we've seen sometimes. I assume you guys feel pretty good about what you saw from that first team offense line?
Yeah, I like the way that they ran the ball early in the game, especially on that drive. We saw a couple of nice runs. That's something that is going to be important. I mean, we don't know how long Joe Mixon's going to be out, so I think it's going to be really important for these guys to open up holes, and it looked good. It looked good in the beginning.
And it's just the beginning, right? So, look, let's see what it's going to look like and how it's going to progress this upcoming week and then ahead of the next preseason game. But as of now, I like what you said, Landry. They are, practicing, especially that depth, really trying to figure out, even though it seems like it's starting to come to form who the starting five are going to be. So I think for me now it's just about getting more reps.
No doubt.
Could that change? It will definitely change, no?
Yeah, I mean, it could very well change. I think this next week, I think you look at the way that this camp has played out. I think before they went to West Virginia, they wanted an idea of what they wanted their offensive line to be. They left West Virginia. They kind of have looked at backup scenarios, and now I think we're going to have to start seeing some of these guys play good in games before they can trust him. You mentioned Juice Scruggs. Juice Scruggs has done well for himself. I mean, there was a time where he wasn't getting reps, and some will say, well, Cam Robinson got hurt. He was already getting solid second-team reps before that happened. So if Juice Scruggs plays his way onto this squad, I think you could kind of see it starting when camp happened, and he's done a good job of doing what they want him to do.
So we started with the positive and now the not so good. On the same board, which player should now be looking over his shoulder? Let's see. I wonder how much we'll see from the offensive line. All righty. How about you go first, Landry?
I'll go ahead and I'll say Blake Fisher. And there was a lot of assumption that Blake Fisher might be your starting right tackle in camp. Ariante Ursary is clearly, when they're at full strength, the guy they want there. Now, what Blake Fisher learned in West Virginia is they're so displeased with what he's doing that a guy who they've been hyping up and gassing up moving to guard in Titus Howard, and it seems like it's a good move. They would rather put him back at right tackle than put Blake Fisher in an actual game and in getting first team reps. So that's not a good thing to have. And on the other hand, Zach Thomas, I wondered, what's he going to look like in a game? And he didn't really do very well for himself either. So maybe it wasn't all bad for Blake Fisher.
Well, I'm just going to say with what he said, I went with Zach Thomas because he had the false start and then he allowed a sack. And those were two plays right there that did not look very good for Zach Thomas. So
not great.
Yeah, not great. I'm going to go Zach Thomas. And who do you have?
I have John Mechie. I mean, because we touched on the receiver group, right? And how many they're going to keep and whatnot. Listen, you talked about Xavier Hutchinson coming into West Virginia already feeling good. A guy that probably most of us thought he's probably fighting for a spot starting training camp, right? So he's kind of separated himself. You guys mentioned Berrios, what he's done and what he did in this preseason game. So for me, I think John Mechie, you see him even doing some special team stuff, even defending sometimes during practice. So I think they're trying to give him every chance possible in order to stay on the team.
Yeah, John Mechie seems like a guy to me that is on the bubble of making this team. And it's not so much what he didn't do in the game. He led the Texans in receptions. He had 5 receptions. It's more like, what does he look like in camp and what is Braxton Berrios doing? So because Berrios has had such a good camp, looks so explosive, I think it's more just passing the eye test. Mechie just doesn't look as explosive as Berrios does, and Berrios obviously provides the special teams aspect of it too.
And now it's Cody's turn.
Nick Chubb, watch your back. Nick Chubb, watch your
Interesting.
back here.
Wow.
If he's
Why do you say
gone-
that?
If he's gone for any amount of time, Dameon Pierce shows back up. We think Dameon Pierce is in the best shape of his life. We know Nick Chubb is not in the best shape of his life. All of a sudden, that could be running back 2 right away. Remember, last year, D'Amico Ryans wanted the 1-2 punch to be Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce. It did not work out that way. But if Pierce comes back, plays well, we know Woody Marks is on the team. Dario Gumwale plays special teams. Nick Chubb doesn't. All of a sudden, you got 4 running backs, and Nick Chubb is the odd man out.
Interesting. So, of course, training camp continues. The preseason continues. Saturday, first preseason home game. It's against Carolina. So what are you most looking forward to seeing in this next preseason game?
I want to see the mountain at left tackle. I want Ariante Ursary to get challenged. I want somebody to give him a hard time out there at tackle. They didn't really test him that much in this first preseason game. Give him some good pass rush opportunities. Play him a bunch out there at left tackle. And when he's done with that, I want him to go play right tackle, too, just in case you need him at right tackle as well. So I want to see a lot of Ariante Ursary.
Zach?
I want to see, even in a limited spurt, maybe one series, the starting offensive line all out there at the same time on a game day. The energy is obviously going to be different, and I just want to see what they look like all together.
And I'm going to pick it back off of that, and I just want to see the offensive line work in unison and open up a gap. You know, whoever it is that runs the ball, just give us something that we can say, hey, look, this running game might actually have a chance to work.
All right. I guess I'm going to be greedy as well. I'd like to see the first team offense for a series with CJ out there and this reworked offensive line and see what these Texans have with this group collectively.
Yeah, and I like what y'all are saying. I want to see something a little bit different, and this is kind of connected to the offense. I want to see if Nick Caley's in the booth, because he was in the booth the first preseason game. I think that's interesting. This might be like a little bit too strange, but some offensive coordinators like to call it in the booth. Some like to call it on the field. I do wonder, is he going to mix it up, or are we going to get that awesome football fan view where you get the zoom in the press box of your OC? It just hits different there. So I'm rooting for Nick Caley to be old school and be in the booth. We'll see what happens. That's what I'm looking for next time they take the field.
Yeah, with the headset on and fist pumping and relaying the plays in, the high fives.
The
all
profile. This is the young kid, Belichick.
All right, well, it's hard to beat these two. Landry Locker from The Locker Room, Cody Stoots from HOUfootball.com. Together, SNL Texans Talk on YouTube. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight on Sports Extra.
Wouldn't want to be anywhere else. We appreciate it.
Love it.